Once you have that MP3 file or whatever it is that you recorded it on, and just talking technical here for a second, if you have a phone, 99% of them now have a recorder, so anybody can do this. Now, that recorder is going to give you a file. You can either upload it to send it to yourself in an email, or you can put it in Dropbox or Google Drive. But the idea is get the MP3 of the recording, or any file, whatever. You could even do a video. Like, it doesn't have to be an audio file. You can do video, and then we're going to get it transcribed. I did this with a client. We did about an hour-long interview. The goal is about 45 minutes to as long as you want. You want at least about 45 minutes, because that's when it starts really, you start getting into a real good discussion. So about 45 minutes to an hour plus. I'll go ahead and write that up here. At that point, you're going to actually get it transcribed. Now, there's plenty of services online where you can upload the MP3 or link to it. I think I usually just search Google and try to find the ones that are competing with each other in the ads. I just, audio transcription, Google it, and you'll find them anywhere from 50 cents a minute to about $1 a minute. But think about that. For $60, you'll get an interview transcribed of you explaining why, telling your story, telling your product story. Any time that you can tell us specific story here, you should, why a lot of time. That answer, that why question is answered in story more often than not. Okay. So we get it transcribed. Now that can take a day or two to get it back, but then you're probably going to get about a 30-page document, which is an epic amount of content. If you were to sit down and write that, call it 20,000 words, right? I should probably just do a word check on one of the interviews. It would take you hours and hours and hours to think about it, edit it, get it in the right order, all this stuff. And the idea here isn't that we're just going to take that stuff and put it out on the internet or something, which you can do. But what we want to do now, the next part, once you get the document, is, and I generally print it out, but you can do it in a Word doc too. Highlight sections that feel, and this is very subjective, right? That feel right. Now you may say, that's not very specific, Sean. How do I know if it's going to feel right or not? When you watch that Google ad, you felt it, right? You started feeling the emotion. So we highlight sections that feel right. And more specifically, if you see something, wow, that feels like a good headline, I would buy if I read something about that. You can actually go through the document and highlight. Now, that part right there is a little subjective, and it's where a little bit of skill from experience comes in. But anybody, can look at something and say, wow, that's a good story about my product. I could use that in my marketing. All right, so we're going to go through highlight sections that feel right, that have a good emotional tinge, that we can actually use in our marketing.